tens of thousands. But in 2015, the scariest bat of all was captured in the Philippines. Many headlines call this bat human-sized, but I think many headlines call this bat human-size. But judging by the army personnel below it, it's a lot bigger than human size. Its wingspan is much closer to 10 humans. And this type of bat is called a giant golden-crowned flying fox bat. At first, some people thought this was the mystical chupacabra. That's actually a myth, but what's in this image is totally real and terrifying too. These bats are a species of fruit bats and they're actually classified as megabats. Next up, we have shark. Sharks are terrifying animals, especially great white shark.
Let's just go to YouTube. Rock. What the fuck? Really?
The scar on Vance Jareva's right knee only tells part of the tale of his journey to Sanford Health. The farmer from Ogama, Minnesota had his knee replaced this January, but the other scars on his leg made this surgery a bit different.
1993, I broke my femur just above the knee and on a snowmobile. Spent a couple weeks in the hospital.
30 years later, the wear and tear of farm life had taken their toll.
Search for loose chimpanzee in Santa Fe.
That's according to at least one 911 call from a woman who says she spotted the chimp in her yard.
Breaking news. A recent Bigfoot encounter in Santa Fe, Texas has surfaced, and it's already causing a stir. Just 3 minutes ago, eyewitness footage began circulating online, showing what some claim to be the clearest Bigfoot sighting of the year.
Yeah, I don't know about all that
business. The footage, captured by a local hiker, reveals a towering, shadowy figure lurking in the dense Texas woods, moving with a swiftness and grace.
What the fuck's Bigfoot doing out in Texas?
Experts and viewers alike questioning its authenticity. Strikingly, the creature appears to notice the camera and retreats, leaving only glimpses of its dark fur and powerful limbs. What's especially interesting about this sighting is the immediate reaction, or lack thereof, from mainstream media. Despite the explosive nature of the footage, coverage has been scarce, leading many to wonder if there's an intentional effort to keep this under wraps. Locals report that this isn't the first time strange creatures have been spotted in the area, yet stories seem to disappear quickly from the headlines. Some cryptid enthusiasts suggest this pattern points to a larger mystery surrounding Bigfoot sightings in Texas. Could this Santa Fe sighting be proof of Bigfoot's presence in the region? Or is there a reason these encounters remain unreported by the media? If you've seen the footage, let us know what you think. Is it real evidence of Bigfoot, or just another tall tale? The Bigfoot encounter.
Yeah, the game wardens do indeed think this is a chimpanzee. Lots of people have been searching for this animal since yesterday, and so far, it has not been found.
In 2019, something truly unusual unfolded on a stormy night in Santa Fe, Texas, not New Mexico.
Something truly unusual.
Confused. This encounter stands out
Primal,
because,
what up?
at the time, no one even considered calling it a Bigfoot sighting. There were no biases or predispositions. It was just an odd, almost surreal event that challenged explanation. Just after midnight, a powerful thunderstorm jolted a local couple awake. The woman, Patricia, found herself
Bigfoot sighting.
To return to sleep, distracted by the sounds outside.
Somebody seen him.
At around 2 a.m., she looked out her bedroom
Santa
window
Fe,
and
Texas.
saw something she could barely put into words. A monkey, as she described, but much larger. Her initial reaction was one of shock, standing paralyzed as she took in what she was witnessing. She describes this monkey as towering, large, and distinctly out of place, raising her hands above her head to show the creature's size. Patricia's body language is worth noting here. As she recalled the encounter, she shifted her whole body when describing how the creature looked around, almost as if she was mimicking its movements. This type of reenactment is typically a sign of a genuine recollection rather than an imagined one.
I can go to sleep because I hear noises at 2 o'clock. I still awake. I can. So, and then I see through the window and I see it isn't there.
Observers have pointed out that her movement, with her body twisting rather than just her neck, aligns with how people often describe Bigfoot's lack of a prominent neck, a feature that makes them anatomically distinct from humans. Interestingly, despite her shock, Patricia's initial reaction wasn't fear, but rather an instinctual need to remain unseen. After spotting the creature, she quickly closed the curtain, almost as if afraid that it would notice her watching. This reaction is puzzling. If she thought it was just a large animal, why would she feel the need to hide? Patricia later tried to get a different view, but by the time she returned to the window, the creature had vanished. When her husband joined her, he saw only a fleeting glimpse but described it as looking like a person, but big. This encounter raises a lot of questions. Why would anyone in Santa Fe, Texas, a place where residents are known to be armed and cautious, be wandering around in a costume on a stormy night? Could this have been something beyond just a curious animal or a hoax? There's an eerie quality to this story, and Patricia's vivid description gives us a rare look at what might have been a genuine Bigfoot sighting, captured without the biases or assumptions that often cloud these encounters. Local news and Capuchin Monkey report. A local news station took up the story, and they reported that a capuchin monkey had recently been declared missing in the area. The capuchin's disappearance added another layer of mystery to the sighting, although there were some inconsistencies. Capuchin monkeys are typically 3 to 9 pounds and nowhere near the size of the creature described. Patricia's husband, who briefly saw the creature after being alerted by his wife, also confirmed that it was big like a person. He too was certain this wasn't an ordinary animal. The reporter's tone was respectful, avoiding the typical smirking associated with Bigfoot reports.
Shortly after midnight,
the 2025 Kia Sorento, an impressive blend of capability, luxurious amenities.
Early Monday morning, the couple was awoken by thunder and lightning.
Notably, because Patricia described the figure as a big monkey, rather than directly calling it Bigfoot or Sasquatch.
Until Derek Chauvin murdered that dude, George Floyd, people were not being held accountable. Cops were not being held accountable.
That's not true.
It's not a false statement. It's
absolutely
happening.
Is.
That's
You're
my
telling
point.
me there's police officers before Derek Chauvin
on him, and he just immediately shot her.
Do you want me to tell you, a police officer from New Jersey, and today I'm surrounded by 20 criminals. My first claim is that cops only use lethal force as a last resort.
So, I don't know how many times I've seen, instead of them try to de-escalate the situation, they just pull out the gun. They maybe say a couple commands, and if things don't go their way, they use a weapon. I just saw a video where some lady was picking up some boiling water. She's obviously not okay in the head, and the cop took it upon himself to threaten lethal force, and the woman, like I said, wasn't all the way there. She threatened to use the scalding water to throw it on him, and he just immediately shot her.
Do you want me to tell you the parts of that video that were wrong?
I'd like to hear your side, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the cop was 100% wrong on that one, from what I've seen. But we also got to remember, there's always more to the story than you see on video. Those of you out here, Rodney King, okay? Rodney King, there was a lot of footage there where Rodney King, who's 6'7", who is high on PCP, who led the police on a chase, and he won't stop, he won't follow commands. So there's more to that story. This one, unfortunately, from what I've seen, that cop is 100% wrong, and I will call that cop out. That woman was too far away. She had boiling water, and she said something about, in the name of Jesus, I bless you, or something like that.
Because most people, that not using lethal force when it wasn't necessary?
Yes.
Yeah. So that just defeats the whole.
Yes.
The whole conversation.
I actually agree with you. The only time you can use lethal force is when your life or somebody else's life is in imminent threat of death or serious bodily harm. his life doesn't meet that criteria.
Yeah, but there's always gray area. Like, for example, do you remember that one time that some lady, she went to pull some guy out of the car? Instead of grabbing her taser, she used her gun?
Well, the threat level on a woman going against a guy, say if there's a 5-foot woman going against...
But did she not use lethal force when it wasn't necessary?
But her threat level's different.
She was trying to use her taser, and she ended up using her gun.
Well, so, I was in an era before tasers, so I can't speak to that. However, a woman's threat level is different than a man's threat level.
Yeah, but that's your experience. But I mean, we're talking about facts.
When the fuck did they start giving cops tasers?
She went and used her gun instead of using her taser. So
I didn't see the video, so I'm trying to go on what
cop just said that he was in an era before tasers.
There is a force continuum. There is constructive authority.
That's a good one. Let's go.
I would like to think.
Hold up. Manscaped's 25% off Black Friday sale is happening right now.
I got something that's gonna make him.
Well, crazy thing about it, you just went back on the statement right now by saying that he shouldn't have shot her. In the original statement, you said cops don't use lethal force until they have to. But then you said that was the case where he shouldn't have used lethal force, and he did. There's plenty of cases, I'm sure you've seen them, where cops use lethal force and they shouldn't have. I get it. Sometimes they may be scared for their lives, even though the situation doesn't deem it for women to be scared for their lives. Sometimes they are. But I feel like that's all in training. Now, that's where training should be more, because there's lots of cops that are just so jittery and so trigger happy when they shouldn't be, when people are just doing regular things.
You're 100% correct, my friend. You're 100% correct. I've been saying this for years, that every cop should be at least a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. That's going to do two things. It's going to allow you to be able to handle yourself, but it's also going to be the confidence that's instilled within you in order to be able to handle yourself. The vast majority only use lethal force as a last resort. But there are occasions where, let's face it, there are certain people that should never be cops. I'll be the first one to tell you that. They got shoved in lockers in schools. They have a complex about them. Trust me, the cops who should be cops know exactly who those people are. They have a God complex, and they should have never got that job. So I'll be the first one to tell you that.
And the thing is, once something happens where that cop that should have never had that job,
this is a weird one. I don't know if I like this one.
A lot of times they never get fired. And if they do get fired, they can somehow just go to a different department and still work. And I'm not sure if that's true, but from what I've heard accounts, people can, let's say, get fired from one county, go to the next. Even though he has history of going to black and brown people and discriminating them, he still can have work. Or he can be paid leave. Paid leave is crazy to me, because you can shoot somebody and then get paid just to sit at home. That's crazy to me. But what do you think on that? What do you think that's something that should happen?
So that particular cop you're talking about, that video, he's in 6 different departments. That should have been red flag number 1.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't just keep hopping departments. There's obviously a problem there. Paid leave, something different. You sign a contract on this particular job, and that contract states that you are working until you either retire or you're terminated. So paid leave is you're basically out on an injury. I was out on an injury because there are wounds beyond gunshot wounds that will screw you up way worse than being shot. And trust me on that one.
Definitely. You might as well raise your flag. This is too much talking, bro. Thank you.
All right, brother.
I come from the city of East Los Angeles. Police officers are shooting them in the back. A kid who I trained as a little boxer took a swing at an officer, yes, took off running and has 4 gunshots in his back. And then other videos are coming out, shot in the back so they don't have to run after them.
Okay, and what happened to that officer who shot the gentleman in the back?
On paid leave.
Okay, pending investigation? If he truly shot that person in the back, and with all the cameras around here, the truth will come out. If he truly shot that person in the back, he's going to jail. He's giving up his freedom. All right? You cannot shoot somebody in the back. The only time I've ever seen that pass grand jury is when somebody had a gun shooting back at him like this. It's the only time I've ever seen that.
So why does it continue? I mean, why? There's too many cases. Whether it be East Los Angeles, whether it be everything, and it's not just beating, it's you guys are shooting them in the back.
We're not all police shootings happen in the back. It does happen, but not all. You're generalizing again. You can't say all police shootings happen in the back.
Enough that it's causing attention to us, is bringing attention. If something is not serious, then it doesn't bring attention. But obviously, this debate is happening because it is happening. If we don't admit there's a problem, how can we fix a problem?
If a police officer shoots somebody in the back without probable cause, without justification, they are going to jail. They are losing their job, their family gets embarrassed, and they are spending the rest of their life in prison.
Here's what it is. We have to take it to civil court because law... Thank you.
So, how do you feel about qualified immunity?
Qualified immunity, you're talking about a police officer being indemnified for their crimes, but can you give me an example so I can defend it a little bit better?
I started off with that because I feel like some officers, even though they might not want to like shoot, I feel like nobody wants to kill nobody, right? That's like the last option. But I feel like they can like get away with it because of these protections that they have.
So, the best of my knowledge, qualified immunity was taken away. It was taken away quite some time ago for good cause. For good cause. Nobody, including police officers, is above the law. You can't just go out and kill people. Have they done it? 100%. Steve Caracappa and Lou Eppolito were mob hitmen for the NYPD for years. But guess what? The law eventually caught up to them. It just took too long. Qualified immunity, it should have been something that's never there because police are held to a higher standard than everybody else.
Are they?
Absolutely. So, gentlemen, prior to you said the young man took a swing at a police officer. Well, what happened if this police officer just went up to somebody and took a swing at them? They're going to lose their job. Now, the person who took a swing at them, yeah, he might spend a night in jail if he gets caught. But other than that, there's really no real consequences.
I'm just saying though, like they have these protections and they have these resources for them. Like most like investigations, when you said something about paid leave, right? And there's an investigation. How many times is that investigation from like an outside agency versus like the department? You know,
in New Jersey, every time.
So it's internal, right?
No, it's every time it's an outside agency.
Right, but would you say that's like the standard for everywhere else? You know,
most of the time it is.
Most cops, so they get away with it because of like they make excuses. Like even in the case recently where like the lady with the boiling water, she threw it towards the cop. That was wrong. Everybody knows it was wrong. But then there's still people trying to fight and defend that. So you can't say that they don't have protection, you know?
Well, of course they have protection. They you know, every defense attorney is hired by their client, even though their client might be guilty as hell. Every defense attorney has a duty to defend their client, whether it's a union attorney or whether it's a private attorney, it doesn't matter. They're going to have to protect their client.
And then that works out then.
But the internal investigation, they will go harder on you. My very good friend was under indictment for murder for 15 weeks, even though everything was on video and it was a totally clean shoot. Totally clean shoot, proven. Still 15 weeks with a murder indictment hanging over his head. So there's really not qualified immunity. The oversight over top of police shootings is so much more than everybody sees.
Where's the flags? I jumped on this.
Why is everyone spiraling over YouTube banning ad blockers? Like, chill guys, just use Pi. It's a free Chrome extension that's actually made by one of the founders of Honey, and it basically blocks ads for you. Like, imagine watching YouTube and Twitch completely uninterrupted. And it actually gets cooler because if you do end up seeing ads, Pi legit pays you to see it. I didn't even know these were ads in the first place, but I made money off of them, which is great. It even
How you doing?
So on that same topic of, I believe, Sonia, bless her soul, because that was pretty bad. So this is what I heard. He had 2 DUIs. He was transferred. And the guy that was responsible for him, the sergeant, said he didn't do his due diligence and do what he was supposed to make sure that he was supposed to be on that department.
Like that shit, huh?
That's a problem.
Why?
And the other problem is, why didn't the officer pull his gun on him and tell him, hey, dude, chill? They knew that that lady had schizophrenic tendencies, and the mom even asked, she said, can you send somebody that will de-escalate? And they sent a hothead over there. And that guy didn't take no responsibility. And you see how that doesn't help your standpoints when you're trying to make a difference. And then this guy won't take responsibility. And then that other cop there too, he didn't even say nothing. So I'm like,
Bottles
what would
or cans?
you do in that situation if an officer was, because you knew that was wrong, right?
Absolutely. This is why I'm going to say it again. I'm going to probably say it a dozen more times. Nobody hates a bad cop worse than a good cop, because what that guy did looks bad on everybody. Okay, now everybody has to bear the brunt of his poor decision. That sergeant who was there, or the other officer who was there on scene,
King,
he has to live with the fact that
buy
he
that
did
Pontiff
not act.
Sullivan
Trust me
statue
when I
for
tell you,
$1,400
the
bucks.
punishment for that crime will go far beyond what the media is going to say. It'll go
This
far
giant,
beyond
dude,
what
and
you
it's got
think and
LED
what
lights.
everybody in this room thinks. He's got that woman's
Yeah.
soul on his heart for the rest
I want a
of his
Berserk
life.
one so bad, but that's like
is- and there was a
$1,400 bucks
second part of
too.
your question, which escapes me.
The guy that's in charge of putting that deputy in that department said he didn't know about his past.
Yeah, you need a big-ass fucking tree to hold that up.
Well, I didn't know. What kind of answer is that?
That is not an answer. It's not an acceptable answer. Police are held to a higher standard, which we should be held to a higher standard. Okay, they need to do their due diligence on who they're bringing in, because that police officer has an enormous amount of responsibility as soon as they hit the street.
And he said it with so much desensitized attitude. I'm sorry, but like I've met good and bad, and that was kind of like, bro, you giving more fuel to this whole argument of if there's good cop, bad cop. We don't see it when we see that, and the media loves to bring that up, which they do, because now we have all the technology now, right? We can see everything.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but
Yeah,
if
go
you
ahead.
look at the George Floyd thing,
Okay.
the officers that were standing around, they lost their job for failure to act. The failure to act.
If I was in a murder, if I was in a car with a murder, would I not be charged in that murder?
You will be charged as an accessory. And I believe they were charged. I
Okay,
do
'cause I
believe they
don't-
were
I
charged.
don't
Now,
know. Okay.
now, I have been in situations where, one in particular, where there's a car chase, everybody's adrenaline's ripping, and everybody in this room who's had their adrenaline ripping, it's hard to dial it down at the
Yeah,
blink
of
of an eye.
course.
I watched them rip this guy out of the car and slam him to the pavement once they got him. And you know what I did? You know, and you can hear it on camera. There's actual proof of this. I slapped cuffs on this guy and I said, he's cuffed. It's over.
Okay.
All right. Because I knew this guy was going to get it, because their adrenaline was high. He rammed the police car. There was a whole bunch of other things involved in there. I have a duty to protect those who can't protect themselves. First person I protect, I'm not going to bullshit you here. First person I protect is myself. Of
course.
But beyond that, I am willing to be my brother's keeper. So once he's in custody, he is my brother. I am his keeper. All right. And I am responsible for his safety. If he dies in my custody, it's on me. So that other officer, getting back to the video, that other officer, he's got to live with that. He's got to live with that. But again, police officers are human beings.
Yeah, I agree.
Humans are flawed. Humans are fallible.
Do you think there's something that we have to break inside the police system about that? It's code, right?
No, it's not code.
You guys don't have code?
What do you mean? You're talking about the thin blue line?
I don't know. I would assume you had code, but I appreciate you sharing.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Since there's only a minute left, I just wanted to bring up, you said like, oh, if a kid that was like shoved in lockers becomes a police officer, like he has an agenda. Like, don't you think there should be more like scanning or training done in order to become an officer? Since
How would you do that?
I mean, like other jobs, like there's so much more training, or like, yeah.
Other jobs, there's much less training than police officers.
But there's not enough.
There's no way.
If there's these people that are coming through that have an agenda that are gonna just shoot someone based off.
So they haven't invented the mind
Like,
reading.
King, you need to buy a PS5
We go
so you
through
can play
psychological
Demon Souls
examinations.
remake.
Okay, and until we get
The
that,
original?
develop that mind reading tool, these people are going to slip through the cracks. It's a fact of life. There are people who just shouldn't be police officers.
You don't think that there could be more to
How?
scan people?
Yeah, don't let
know,
that
but I
let
just
that
feel
get
like-
your head though, because that's just everybody's just speculating and fucking, paranoid right now. Because I watched a video yesterday about it. It's like nothing's for sure.
Extensive.
But there's another side. There's another company that's trying to
beyond that,
fully buy them. So that's
There's
the
no way
rumor
to
is
tell.
now that From Software
It's
went to
unfortunate,
Sony,
but guess
so
what?
Sony
There's
could buy
cops
them
who know
first
those guys,
instead of
those
this other
who can
company.
see those guys that got
I
shoved
don't
in
know.
lockers,
It's
they
weird
know.
over there in the
They know.
fucking that country. I don't know what the hell they do that shit, but tell me right. this Moist Critical is saying how it could be fucking terrible.
Debate can be a bit frustrating.
Sony
and honestly, it seems like we're just circling the same points, right? But when it comes to the unexpected,
you got cancer in your feet?
You've been in a serious accident, there's no debating that you need help. And that's where Morgan & Morgan comes in.
What do you,
no matter
for
who you
what?
Are and what you believe in, America's largest injury law firm is always...
Motherfucker, I work fucking 12 hours in concrete with fucking shitty Carhartt boots. How the hell you got that? You got fucking athletes for
and
something?
have won thousands of big cases. Just
You wear
recently,
socks?
Morgan & Morgan has secured verdicts of
wool
$12
socks?
million in Florida and $26 million in Philly. That's up to 40 times the highest insurance offer. I'm telling you, your case can be worth millions. The best part? It's
How
all
do your
free unless
fucking
you win your
boots
case.
wear on your feet
And
that
working
bad,
with them
though?
is all done from your phone without the need to
What do you
visit
mean?
any
Are they not the right
offices.
size?
If you've also been a victim of a
I've never
personal
seen that in
injury
my
or any
fucking
other
life. You have
serious
nicer boots than me.
you can
Don't make
visit
any sense.
www.forthepeople.com/jubilee, found in the description below to start your free claim
Only
today.
right.
Thanks to Morgan & Morgan for sponsoring this
I
portion
don't
of the
think that's
episode.
your fucking boots,
Now let's
dude.
get back to it.
Boots don't fucking. If boots do that, you don't wear them. You guys fucking some skin issues. What the fuck?
I know.
I've never had my fucking feet.
Most
fucking
cops are selfless
up
and
like that.
honorable people.
Uh-oh. This one's gonna be bad. Oh, fuck.
No, I don't think these cops are honorable at all.
Uh-oh.
I think they're just a bunch of cowboys, you know, and we're just the cattle, and they're just out here to herd us into jail, and that's it. You know, we need people to help us, not act like thugs. They're the thugs. To us, they're the scary monsters.
So
you know?
why wouldn't somebody like yourself who has those views take on that responsibility to change that system?
I did. You know, when I was a kid, I would always say I want to be a cop or a movie star. Cops made me who I am by the way I look. I felt like I was a criminal because of the way they acted towards me, you know, until one day I realized, you know, I'm not the bad guy.
Something you don't know about me. I grew up in a neighborhood full of criminals. When I was younger, I stole everything I could get my hands on. And then one day, the light clicked on because of a police officer. He came up to me and he said, "What are you doing? What are you doing with your life?" And I watched that police officer take a young kid with that one statement, that one simple statement, and change me around to want to go the other direction and beat.
It goes back to what I was saying. We need more cops like that that'll steer us the right way.
Yes,
And that's why I
debates. There's a cop defending himself against 20 criminals. It's not that interesting though because he's too nice of a dude. And he's agreeing with him, which I mean I agree with what he's saying, but it's not that fun to watch when they're not yelling at each other. That sounds fucked up to say, but yeah. Oh, some game ranks.
Hey, today we're keeping it real simple. You saw the title, you saw the thumbnail, you know what's up. We're just talking about 10 games that are still really good 20 years later. Let's just get started off with number 10. Star Wars Jedi Knight 2 Jedi Outcast from 2002. Now, look, sometimes a game can be good despite its flaws. And let me tell you, Jedi Outcast is definitely a flawed game, especially looking back on it with more than 20 years of hindsight. There's a lot of bad, but the good parts are so good that they elevate the
early
whole thing.
2000s
So
for
if
sure.
you don't already have nostalgia with this game, then getting through the first opening levels might be
looks
rough.
like- it looks
For the
like
first
comic
hour or
booky.
two,
Oh,
like
it's
the game
first
just
person, too.
really withholds the lightsaber and all the fun stuff and just forces you to explore this endless Imperial base using all the worst weapons in the game.
I mean that's the OG blaster that he's using. What the fuck, dude? I cannot
You
play
get
this
a
game.
painfully slow pistol and the Stormtrooper gun,
What
which
the
is a little
fuck?
too movie accurate because you can't hit anything with it, so it's worthless.
Well, this
I
is
used
how
to be
first-person
more
games were
forgiving
made
about
back
this
then.
part,
They're
but
all
going
fucking
back to it
identical.
now, it's just
There's
a
nothing that
long
really
slog
separated them.
section. And then when the game finally lets you cut loose with the lightsaber, that's when they throw you into the
Well, 'cause
city
they-
level covered in snipers
'cause
where
they maxed
you
out
can't even
the-
use the thing that much.
the
It's like
capabilities
game
of the
is taunting
systems
us
back
at this
then. They
point. I
didn't
just
fucking
want
know
to
what
cut
the
up
hell
dudes
else
with
to
a
do.
lightsaber, man. Is that too much to ask?
Hey, that was
Still,
pretty
once
sick.
you passed all that, the
Jesus.
game gets exponentially better. You get some actual force powers, some
Yeah, that's
decent
actually
guns,
pretty
and they put
dialed
you in
for
some
how
places
old this
where you
fucker
finally
is.
just let loose with that lightsaber, and it is
Like,
still
some fucking games
one of the most
nowadays
fun
don't even have
games of
combat
its
like
era.
that.
The sequel, Jedi Academy, is kind enough to give you a lightsaber right at the start, which is a massive improvement. But that game kind of feels more of like an expansion pack in some ways. Lore-wise,
Burrito.
I like a lot of it. It's pretty interesting. But Jedi Outcast just feels like it holds up way more overall. With Jedi Outcast, like the lows are low, but the highs are just so much
I already
fun
have
that
with
it just
fucking
makes
Jedi
the game
Survivor.
still great.
I'm your football obsessed best man.
shit.
When all eyes are on you,
Love
my eyes are glued to
advertisements.
the game.
Next, Chronicles of Riddick, or Riddick. Max Payne 2. Roller Coaster Tycoon, Metroid, Soul Calibur. I never played Soul Calibur. Jet Set Radio Future.
Now, next over at number 9,
Halo
The
2.
Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay.
10 games
does
that
it
are
feel
still
like a
good
Jake
20
list?
years
Because
later.
It is. So, 2004, man. This was a rare breed of a first-person
I never
shooter.
played this
An
one.
actually good movie tie-in.
Oh yeah,
It was meant
Vin
to be
Diesel.
a prequel to
My
Pitch
dad
Black,
loved
I
these fucking
think, and
movies.
It was like released
My dad
around
fucking
the
watched
time
the
of
shit out of
Chronicles
fucking
Riddick,
Chronicles of Riddick.
If you remember one of those movies, but actually knowing the source material doesn't really matter here. All that matters is that you're like Vin Diesel, you're a spaceman, you're Riddick, and you're locked up in space jail, and
what?
you gotta get out. At the time, the presentation
look that
really
old.
stood out for this game. The graphics were incredible and cinematic. Like the way the game told its story was beyond what we were used to seeing in most games. The actual gameplay is almost like
Fucking
an
Vin
immersive
Diesel.
sim, but a little simplified for consoles. In this game's case, the simpler controls really worked in its favor. The game never gets bogged down or too tedious or too
Graphics are actually pretty
micromanagey.
decent.
There's always like forward momentum to everything
Oh,
you do
shit,
as you
right in
work
the
to
fucking-
escape.
oh.
There are some side quests, some
drag
satisfying
that body.
jailhouse melee combat.
Yeah,
some
drag that
shooting
shit, son.
and sneaking.
Ready to die, Riddick.
Oh fuck. Oh shit. Oh. What? Oh shit. Jesus. Oh. Just getting sliced up by a fucking shiv. Oh. Actually not that bad.
It's a game
Right in
with
the
a little
fucking
bit
forehead.
of everything, carefully portioned out to be as fast-paced and as fun as possible. You'd think a game about being locked away in prison would be boring, but Riddick starts getting
whole game's
away
about him
almost
getting out of
immediately.
prison?
The's very little time spent just kind of.
How come he
puttering
ain't grabbing
around
the assault
cells,
rifles, dude?
And the majority of the game is spent sneaking around secure locations and shanking dudes and getting into gunfights. It's not a long game, but the fast pace and like the really excellent presentation just it makes it one of our favorite games to go back to and play just for fun. Sometimes
I
you
never
just
even knew that
want
was
a
a game.
highly polished game that can be finished in a few sittings. Now, the semi-sequel or remake, Assault on Dark Athena, in contrast,
I
goes
remember
on
the
a little
movies,
too
there's like
long
3 of
and
them.
isn't really as varied as the original,
Oof.
but it's not a bad follow-up thing. The original may not look that impressive anymore, but
It's
it's
like
fun as hell to play.
No,
and
like
it
you
does
can't.
hold up.
Like when you go
Now,
outside
continuing
or
with
something.
One of my personal favorites, number 8,
like,
Max
the
Payne.
the
2,
weather
The
was
Fall of
different
Max
too.
Payne.
I think they're like
The original
underground.
Max Payne is a classic, but that's been talked about enough. Let's talk about the sequel. In 2003,
Yeah, he had
this
something
game
like he was
a
blind, but he
graphical
could. I don't know what it
masterclass,
was because his
and
eyes
one
are
of the
fucking
first
weird.
games to utilize Valve's
Yeah.
revolutionary Havoc physics engine, and they used
Well,
it
he
to
wore
great
goggles
effect.
outside,
The shootouts were
but then most of the
fantastic,
movie they're like.
controls are silky
I don't know if they're in a
smooth, and the
spaceship or in an
story
underground
is where we
fucking
see Remedy,
facility, but it's
really
like it's
evolve
like
their
post-apocalyptic
style.
kind
At a
of.
time where experimental, challenging sequels.
They need to
were
remake
all
one of
the
these Max
rage.
Payne games for
Max
like
Payne
current
2
times.
Not have gone super weird like
This
full
is
Metal Gear
made by the
Solid
same people
2,
who made GTA.
But it was close. If there's one thing that makes Max Payne 2 still hold up today, it's the shooting.
Yeah, the shooting's fucking. Fucking shooting's sick. I played the new one. Or, not the new one, but Max Payne 3. Like, you can fucking dive and fucking. It's so fucking sick. I don't know why they haven't remade it or implemented it into GTA. Just all slow motion. Oh shit! Oh, it's just entertaining as fuck. Max Payne
It
3
still
is
feels great.
the
Like,
newest
where
one, and that
first
one's
game
got
was
way
kind
better
of
graphics.
stiffer and clunkier. This
Your
game,
dude's like
he's
a-
way
Max
faster,
Payne's like
way
an
more
alcoholic
reactive,
or
way
like a
more
pill addict.
movability here. The new bullet time mechanics make going
Yeah.
into slow-mo more effective this time around, and watching as bullets tear through the environment and send
Yeah,
guys
they need to remake
flopping and
that
spiraling
so
through
we
the
can
air
play it on fucking
doesn't
next
get
gen.
old.
Current
Where
gen.
other Max Payne games are more restrained, This game just embraces the chaos with explosives.
I got the
everywhere.
newest one on
Everything
PC.
breaks, and you mow down bad
played
guys
it,
by
like,
the
I don't know if
truckload.
I got
It is
halfway.
just glorious. Now, there's
You
some
grab a
arguments
shotgun
to
and
be
just
made,
do your
but
slow motion
I would
dive and
say
just
this
fucking
story is
destroy a
still
whole
one
room
of
of
Remedy's
dudes.
best. It's dark and it's weird in ways that make it feel extremely modern. Even if stuff like the character models aren't going to be wowing anyone these days, they used to look like real people. The game is short, but the shooting is still the best.
Did he ever
and it's just
remaster
worth
these?
playing. Next over.
God damn, really? What fucking advertisements do we have to have here?
Number 7, Grand Theft Auto San
There was no
Andreas.
advertisements
What
on
even
YouTube.
needs to be said about this one anymore? It's a true open world classic from 2004. For a lot of people, it's still the best.
One of the
Grand
best.
Theft Auto game. Maybe one of the best things Rockstar has ever done.
One
which
of
is
the
crazy
best.
considering that this thing came out only 2 years after Vice City. They were really on something for this. The thing about the Grand
you
Theft Auto
fucking missed
3
out big
trilogy
time.
games is that in some ways they are hard to go back
This
to.
is
They're
one of the
missing a lot
best
of
ever,
the features
like,
we've come to
created.
expect in open world games. You know, they can be
You
frustrating
could
with the
fucking,
crazy
you could
difficulty
get
spikes
fat,
out
you could
of
get
nowhere,
skinny, you could
no
get jacked, you
mid-mission
could
saving.
fucking get
if you die, then you
really
gotta go
skinny.
back and do everything all over again. You know,
You
all
can
have
fucking
to do
up your
is follow
stamina,
the
run
damn train.
faster, run
That
longer. There's girlfriends. You could have. You could go date a chick, and you took her on like 3 dates, and like the next date she brings you
San
inside and you
Andreas
bang her.
has
And all,
by far
the
the
camera's
best
on the outside of the
mission
house,
design
and all you
of
hear
the
is
trilogy.
it's.
But
There's
still
all
a few
kinds of
parts that slap
shit.
you across the face out of nowhere with some
It was
confusing mechanics
super
and
crazy
weird
for
fiddly
the
controls that
game
just
like
make them
that to be out
miserable to
back
play.
in
If you've
2005,
played, you know what I'm talking about.
2006.
Stuff like the remote control plane mission,
All
or
this shit,
airplane
and you could
training
train.
stuff,
You could get
or,
better
of
at
course, like I
guns.
said before,
Like,
following
so like
the
right
damn
away when you're
train.
shooting any
In
gun,
situations
you
like
hold it
these,
like
San
AR.
Andreas
You're
wasn't
holding
too
hip
ambitious
fire.
for its own good, but
But
that
once your
only
shooting skill gets
slightly
upgraded, you actually
detracts from the
fucking
overall
start
package.
actually
For an
aiming.
open world
There was
climbing,
flying
it's still one of the
schools.
best. Even 20 years later,
You can buy the
it's got
remake,
some
or
of
the
best,
remake's on
most
Xbox for
memorable
free, I
characters
think.
in the entire series, and
The
the celebrity
remaster.
voice work is
This is the
absolutely
old
stellar
version.
across the board. I mean, they got Samuel L. Jackson to play the
Yeah, all the
bad guy.
actors.
It's
Samuel
perfect.
Jackson's the
rags
cop
to
that
riches
bullies you
story
the whole
actually
game.
feels earned here
Ah.
with the length of the game, and it helps that not
Fuck
literally
else is it? You
everyone
remember the guy with the
you work
glasses from
is a
Scary
total
Movie?
bad guy
In
for
the
once.
wheelchair?
Yeah, they're all
He's one of
criminals,
the guy,
but
one of your buddies you
there
do
are
missions
some
for.
actually
Ice-T's
likable
in it.
characters here. It's not high art,
else
but
is in
it's
it?
got that excellent
There's a shit ton of famous people in this game. It's
The
crazy.
music as well. It's
The
a
guy who
legendary
plays the
video
main
game
character, he's like
soundtrack.
some
Now,
rapper
if they
from
would
back
stop
in the
removing
day.
those tracks from re-releases, that will be nice. At least they can't patch my original PS2 copy. Yeah, I still got it. For someone going back to San Andreas after experiencing modern open world games, it's gonna feel jarring for you younger folks. You know, let's be honest, the game does look kind of ugly. Still looks better than that definitive edition re-release, but the crazy ambition of the game, either way, just puts it on a level above almost anything else. This is Rockstar Games at their most maximalist, and it's all the better for it. Next over at number 6, Roller
Oh, the
Coaster
Replacer?
Tycoon 2. Now, this all-time classic is definitely showing its age, but it's somehow still one
He's
of
in
the
a
most
lot of movies.
satisfying management games out there. The first Roller Coaster Tycoon
Prison
is great.
Break.
You know, don't get it twisted, but the sequel is like
Yeah.
the true greatest of all time.
He's
The game that even
the one
modern
that they
park builders
used him. The
struggle
first
to
time they
emulate.
used him was
It's
Black
the
Ops 2.
template. It's the
He's been in Black
ideal
Ops
management
2,
game because it's
Black
so
Ops
perfectly captures something
4,
we've all dreamt
and then this
about.
one, I think.
What kid hasn't thought about like creating their own amusement park or had the idea about the craziest, most over-the-top roller coaster? It's a simple, but like such a perfect idea for a game. The actual park management stuff is in-depth, but not too technical that it stops being fun. For us, this is the part of the game that modern park builders kind of struggle to match.
He's in a lot
Sure,
of shit.
Planet Coaster looks about 1,000 times better than this game, but the actual game part of it isn't quite up to snuff. With the
Yeah, I'm sure he
original
gets a
Roller
pretty
Coaster
fat check
Tycoon
from fucking
2,
Treyarch
the
or
park
Call of Duty
building
for doing
and
that, doing the replacer shit too.
Next over at number 5, Metroid Prime from 2002. Now, I know this one is kind of obvious, and it did get a re-release on Nintendo Switch, but I don't. We just wanted a good excuse to talk about it. Metroid Prime shouldn't have worked. I mean, the idea of
I never
combining
played
a
Metroid.
Metroid game with a first-person shooter just sounded like a disaster waiting to happen, but they somehow made
popular
it
as
work.
fuck on
It's
Nintendo.
better than just working. It's great. It's one of the best games of the early 2000s. But what's so much more impressive is that its success has
It actually
never
looks
really
cool.
been replicated. Yeah, they came out with 2 sequels to somewhat diminishing returns, but other than that,
I didn't
and
know they had a
smattering of some
first-person Metroid.
smaller style games, there's never really been anything quite
'Cause it's
like
usually side-scroller.
Metroid Prime. Going back and playing the actual
That's where they get the term
20-year-old
Metroidvania. Like
original may take
Metroidvania
some getting
games.
used to because of
Or
control
Metroidvania
scheme,
because of
but
Metroid
that
and
recent
Castlevania
remaster I
games from back in
mentioned
the
just
day.
brings back
Side-scrolling
traditional
2D.
two-stick look and move controls, so it's the
I've
easy
never
game
really-
to jump into.
I have no idea. I know the chick. There's a hot blonde chick inside of the suit around it. Sam is Sam or something.
Every time you throw her off for Smash Bros. Almost.
Yeah. The fuck is this?
Oh, Guardian. Let's see what happens.
New season already?
What happens?
Ain't no time for the run. You know that it's coming. You know that it's coming. Come on. You know they in front of you. Ain't no time for the
She's getting an ultimate, I think. Or,
You know they ain't playing. Come on. No, this ain't no game.
oh, they just came out with a bunch of. Reminds.
It really is.
Who the fuck is that guy? Jesus. So yeah, who's this guy? Ooh, new gun.
Oh yeah.
They must be having them. Yeah, season 2, December 5th. Missed season 1, huh? Well, this looks like it's all kind of somewhat added onto that. Or at least they'll come over different parts of the map. Sure they will. Oh, it's zombies? Look at that. Jesus. Holy, that guy looks badass. Oh, there's that fucker again. I wonder when you'll get to actually fight him. Where's the dog? Probably, yeah.
Like it's all dogs, you know, you can send dogs after it.
Huh. I have to start playing that again.
Yeah, we're gonna have to.
Void Chaser.
I mean, it
I
is
still
a
think
fun
the
fucking
original
game.
holds up, even if the remaster is undoubtedly.
Yeah, that's
the
how
better
those
game.
games.
What
That's how
makes
those games
the
are
original
made, though,
so
because it's a free
remarkable is
game.
how
They have to
managed
make money
almost
somehow, otherwise the
perfectly
game.
translate
They'll probably have to
the
shut the servers down, and then you won't be able to play it
Metroid
at all.
games into first person.
So like that's
It
the whole
doesn't
point of
feel
free
like
games
an
nowadays.
FPS.
Like there
feels
has to
like
be
a
something
Metroid
that you
game,
can
just from a new
buy.
perspective.
Otherwise,
Exploration
it doesn't make any
is
sense
so
to
the
have
focus
it
here.
unless you can
The morph
advertise
ball
other
still
shit
works
through it.
exactly
And that's how you
expect it
fuel
to.
it. But
Almost
you don't
all
do
the
that with games
essential
on
Metroid
console.
abilities are here.
Well, could you
And the
imagine
game
playing a
added
fucking
is
game
add
on
a
your
few
console and you have
new tricks, like
advertisements?
visors
You'd
and
fucking
stuff
burn
that
your
you can
console.
see in the dark or,
They're
like,
actually
scan things in
there's
the
been
environment to
rumors
gain
about that shit
lore
for a while
learn
now.
about enemies, and that
Some games
scan
having
visor
advertisements,
stuff
it's
is
like,
great.
dude,
It's where
nobody
you
will
get
buy
a lot
that
of the
game and
story
nobody
of the
will
game,
play
and
that
it's
game.
so well
I
done.
sure as
You
fuck
can
won't be
either
playing a game with
ignore it
advertisements
entirely
while I'm playing
or
it or
seek it out,
something.
and
Like,
the game
not a
doesn't
chance.
penalize you in any way.
I'll
But
go
on
play all
top
these
of
old
all
games that we've
the
been playing our whole
atmosphere
lives.
is
I'd rather replay games and
unmatched.
have
The
to play a
music,
new one
the
with
environmental design, and the way
fucking
things interact with your character
advertisements.
really make you feel like you're part of that world. Simple stuff like
Exactly.
making it so rain hits your visor when
Yeah.
you're looking up and rolls off the side of your gun. Samus's reflection in the visor occasionally just reminding you who you
Land.
are. And of course, that sense of loneliness to this exploration. The music, the feeling, you just feel like you're on an uncharted planet. Metroid Prime is full of cool little moments and details like that.
Yeah.
It was immersive on a level you rarely see in games from 2002.
20 legendary games worth revisiting. Let's watch that one.
Don't be like Henry, who still washes himself with dirty loofahs and raggy towels. Enter the Manscaped.
We have a lot of cool new games coming out pretty constantly. I mean, both good and bad, but I tend to like to think about the good ones and just move along from the bad ones. But a lot of games, either you maybe played them when they came out and put it down, missed it when it originally came out, and there's a lot of good stuff back in the back catalog. We were thinking, you know what, let's put together a list of stuff you can go back to and enjoy. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Ranks, 20 legendary games worth revisiting in 2024. Starting off with number 20, it's Alien Isolation. I admit this is a tough one to go back to because it's a little terrifying, but there's no better time to return to Alien Isolation because very recently, on October 7th, Creative Assembly announced they were working on a sequel. It's been 10 years since the original came out, and it's never even been hinted at that we would get a sequel. It always seemed like it would remain this special one-and-done thing. And honestly, I don't think anybody wanted it not to have a sequel, but no one expected it to. But it is, and the original devs are making it. Everything about the conditions for the sequel looks quite good, and that makes now the perfect opportunity to try it out, or try it again because you wussed out the first time. I'm not trying to insult anybody here, but a lot of people wussed out. Like, tons of people bought the game because of the hype, but how many finished it? I don't know. It is a pretty challenging and unforgiving game, especially when you first start actually encountering the alien early on. But with perseverance, it's a game that anybody can finish. It never stops being scary as hell, though, which is one of the most impressive elements of the game. Most horror games stay scary for a while, maybe even the whole first playthrough, but the second playthrough is usually like, all right, I know what's happening. Alien Isolation manages to keep the tension high. No matter how many times you've gone through it, that alien is just so unpredictable, it'll catch you off guard sometimes. No matter how much you think you have its behavior pegged, it'll get you. Oh, it'll get you. And number 19 is Grand Theft Auto 4. GTA 6 is finally, hopefully, coming in the new year. And while you could just go back to GTA Online to get your open-world Rockstar crime fix, for me, personally, I think it's more enlightening to go back to the game that brought GTA to next gen, which was the Xbox 360/PS3 at the time. GTA 4 is a landmark game in a lot of ways. They were really trying to do something different here. It's a little slower paced, a little more character-driven. It's less intentionally fun, maybe a little more serious. Liberty City in the game is overcast and gray, not the amusement park like a lot of other ones. They really tried to bring a sense of realism to the design of the world, at least for a Rockstar game. It has elements of being a life sim and an open-world action game. You got friends to hang out with, dates to go on. There's internet cafes and live performances to see. There's a bunch of stuff that's just there to make the world immersive. It's kind of a precursor to how immersive Red Dead Redemption 2 would be. The graphics have not really held up, and the controls can feel awkward, but GTA 4 is one of the most unique and interesting games in the series. And if you don't like it, there's always episodes from Liberty City, 2 mini-campaigns where he plays other characters whose story runs parallel. Just save the Ballad of Gay Tony for last, because it's the best and most fun part of the entire package.
Jesus.
And number 18 is Dragon Age Origins. We're now at the 15th anniversary of the first Dragon Age game, and with the 4th game finally just around the corner, now's a great time to go back to the game that started it all. Even if you don't care about the Veilguard, maybe you're just jonesing for another RPG hit after Baldur's Gate 3, and Dragon Age Origins is really a perfect follow-up. You will experience whiplash from the graphics. Origins is not a great-looking game. It wasn't a great-looking game back when it came out in 2009, but it was a game that brought back the class CRPG in a big way. It was BioWare going back to its roots. It's a hardcore party-based RPG with tons of moral choices to make. On the surface, it looks a lot like later Baldur's Gate games, but it's actually a lot more in line with their older games, like the first 2 Baldur's Gate games, which makes the first entry in the series very good.
Feeling alright.
The story is not anything to write home about. It's mostly just something that's there to give the player something to do. The characters and all the little stories you encounter along the way are what makes Origins so interesting. Along with the brilliant prologues and whatever race and class you choose your main character to be, it actually completely changes how the story starts. It's criminal that no other game has borrowed this idea. It makes your character feel so friggin' distinct from the start in just a way most RPGs completely fail at. But with the
I'm offering you the opportunity of a lifetime. Get Max for $2.99 a month for 6 months.
The actually shockingly good Fallout TV show, which I will never get over, heading to New Vegas for season 2. One more reason to put on your big iron and play some Johnny Guitar. I mean, what really needs to be said about Obsidian's 2010 Fallout game? I say it all the time. Obsidian does Bethesda better than Bethesda generally. They understand what makes people like me, at least, like Bethesda games. I've certainly had people dispute that in the past, but, you know, to each their own. I think Obsidian made the best modern Fallout game. Like, it's an all-time classic, one of the best open-world RPGs of all time, with the most complex and interesting locations, some of the best characters in the entire series, obviously the best role-playing. There's so many choices that have meaningfully different outcomes, and that can end in wildly different ways. It's crazy they made the game in less than 2 years.
Had enough! You like that?
Had enough?
Well, not that surprising. It was a bug-riddled mess when it originally came out, but official and unofficial patches have mostly gotten it under control these days. Now it's an unambiguously excellent Fallout game that sometimes looks a bit like an officially licensed mod. Any new graphical elements definitely stand out compared to stuff that was in Fallout 3, but it doesn't really matter because the writing is so strong and the quest design is just some of the best out there.
I don't want no whining about old Mr. Masterson. I left my one-of-a-kind plasma cannon back at base. Can we go back for it?
At number 13 is Katamari Damacy, another 20-year-old classic. With this game, it could have come out this year and nobody would know.
One of the best games. Really? How long? Cool. That's like not. Oh, I like. Here we go. Think about what? Wait, what the fuck is...
Morning.
Jesus.
Approach slowly, stranger. Then one belongs to the ends. Instead, the two sides of... If I didn't know better, I'd say neither side is confident enough to push for... In any event, I've recorded my findings in this report.
Holy shit. Damn. No, not really. Not super interested in all that, I guess.
If you're heading out, be careful. There's been lots of Legion raiding.
It's been a long tour. All I can think about now is going back home.
You got a lot of nerve showing your... You got a lot of nerve showing your face around here. You better get out before I throw you out.
Hmm. Oh, shit.
Hey.
You've got a lot of nerve. I've got the Legion at Nelson breathing down my neck and not enough. I need someone to talk to a few of the officers. If I can get this place in order, and the more that... Good.
Hey.
You got a lot of nerve showing your face. You got a lot of nerve showing your face around here. You better get out before... You got a lot of nerve showing your face around here. You better get out before I...
Fuck. What the hell? Jesus! Did not mean to do that. Any guns in here? What the f... God damn. Not on PC. Jesus. What the fuck? God damn. Oh no.